A night at the opera evokes a feeling of glamour and luxury of days gone by. But as you'll see, for the prenuptial ball I created in New York, I brought the glamour of the past into today. It's not often that one has the privilege to be creative on the stage of the New York's famed Metropolitan Opera. So for this prenuptial ball, I created an extraordinary evening of fantasy, glamour and magic. Guests were transported to another time and place, all dressed in white tie ball gowns as they made their way through the auditorium where they dined on the stage in the backdrop of Rosen Kafalia's ballroom scene. With the main table in the center of the room and surrounded by round tables were fashioned from black and white striped fitted tablecloths topped with chaparral pink overlays with Austrian crystal fringe. The tables were topped with gold mirrors and adorned with puddings of roses, out of which came beautiful candelabras. The alternative tables were topped with massive plumes of glamorous chaparral pink ostrich feathers. Just before dinner was served, 4 large plumed feathered chandeliers descended to just above the main table, signifying to the waiters to commence their food service. After the dinner, dessert was served, and this was the first time ever miniature wedding cakes were served at a wedding, and this has become a fashion that's been copied many times since. Then the backdrop of the set magically lifted up to expose the Semi-Goes Orchestra, who flew in from Paris to perform. Here I fashioned a large black and white dance floor with a large pagoda-styled bar. The guests got to lounge on beautiful large zebra-printed beds and ottomans, backed by columns garlanded with red anthuriums. 2 Marie Antoinette wigged characters served the desserts from the scent of round-moving buffets. This was a night never to be forgotten by New York society. The wedding itself was a gorgeous daytime affair that took place in Greenwich, Connecticut on a Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. Guests were invited into a beautiful ceremony tent with the bride made her entrance walking down a beautiful white linen aisle. In front of the extraordinary view of the Long Island Sound, I had glass windows positioned so guests could take in the breathtaking view. The bride carried a large signature Colin bouquet of white lily of the valley. After the ceremony, guests made their way through a passageway filled with antique bird cages and tiny little birds before making their way into another tent for the cocktail and luncheon reception. The floors were made from stone set around a gorgeous stone fountain. Now the guests made their way into a garden-themed tent that had walls lined in trellis and ivy and a green and white striped ceiling. This tent too had magnificent full-length windows looking out onto the Sound. Now this particular flagpole and bench is where the bride and groom kissed for the first time 10 years before. Instead of table linens, the buffets were covered with blankets of wheatgrass that food was laid upon. And for the wedding cake, Polly Schoonmaker fashioned an extraordinary cake that was inspired by vintage tablecloths. Everybody danced and had a wonderful time and finished the day with afternoon tea. From a glamorous evening ball to a beautiful bright daytime wedding, this wedding certainly marked the wedding of the decade.